The truth about Yahweh. The meaning of the name Yahwehu is King of the white-skinned races. The sound Yahwehu is how it was pronounced by the ancient white-skinned races that were taught about their God 4,000 years ago. The black people who lived then did not pronounce the name like that. You have to realize that the non-blacks were taught language like little children, even though they were adults. The reason is because soon after they were made, they completely lost the ability to speak when they were incarcerated behind the Caucasus Mountains in the caves of Europe. This happened when they were expelled from the Garden of Eden 6,000 years ago. They lost all contact with civilization, and soon thereafter, they lost the ability to speak or carry on any civilized human activities. That happened because they became separated into small family groups, each one living in its own enclosure, without much interaction. Their entire time was taken up by survival amid the wild animals with which they had to compete for food and shelter. This went on for 2,000 years. These severe conditions led to the total loss of language and culture. 8. When Moses was sent to gather them together and bring them back to the Middle East and Africa, they could only make animal sounds as a way of speech, and he had to teach them how to speak. So after the most intelligent ones were rehabilitated and taught the rudiments of language, it should be understandable that their tongues were like the tongues of young children learning how to speak for the first time. Young children tend to condense and shorten words, leaving out the pronunciation of what to them seems as unnecessary parts of speech. This is clear to anyone who has heard the speech of children. The black people of that time, the original owners of language, pronounced the name in its proper pronunciation as Yahwehu. The non-black races left out ba and shortened it to Yahwehu. The word Hwehu means white, or light-colored. In modern Setswana, as well as Sesotho and other so-called Bantu languages, we say Swu or Swihu. In ancient Setswana, which is still our language of initiation, we say Vu or Wehu, exactly as it was said by the ancients. Now, consider the name Yahwehu. The word Yah means of, as in king of, the white races. The word ba is a prefix used in our language to refer to people. Whenever bes used, then the speaker is talking about people. You'll find this prefix attached to the names of many tribes of Africa, such as Ba-Umbuti, Basutu, Botswana, etc. So important was this word to the ancients that in the times of ancient Egypt, they used it to refer to that spiritual aspect we call humanness, that separates us from animals. That includes all the aspects of being human such as self-consciousness, self-will, morality, etc. All these aspects were summed up in that one word ba. Side by side with the concept of ba, which means all humanity, they also had the concept of ka, which means individuality. In our language, when wezia ka, of, mine, we refer to individuality, we also say ya me. The words ka and me are synonyms. The word me is the origin of the English word me. This word ka in modern days has become the German word ich or the Dutch word ek, both of which are identical to the English word I orm. These two concepts of ka and ba together define the totality of God. Wo is simultaneously an individual and the unity of all people. Now, I said Yahwehu means king of the white-skinned people. Ya means of, ba refers to people, and wehu means white or light-colored. You'll notice that there is no part of that name that stands for king. So Yahwehu literally means of the white races. What of the white races? King of the white races. The fact that of is in reference to king is a given. It was so obvious to the ancients that it was not necessary to include king in the name. That is how many African names are still structured even today. Perhaps a modern Western example will help to prove this. Consider the German name von Braun. Von means of in German. Rudolf van Braun means Rudolf of Braun. What of Braun? Son of Braun. But son is so obvious a part of it that it's not included in the name. Instead of calling him Rudolf son of Braun, he's just called Rudolf of Braun. This was also the case with the king of the white races. It became customary to leave king out because whenever the name Yahwehu was said, all who recognized it knew that it referred to the king. Only one person is the king of the white races, so the name could not be misinterpreted by any who recognized it. As a matter of fact, during those times it was so obvious who this name belonged to that people, especially the ancient Hebrews, went to the extreme point of totally ceasing to say it altogether. That is how it became the most sacred name in this age among all who spoke Hebrew or belonged to the Israelite religion. They then began to substitute the name Lord, Adonai, for the sacred name. Now, the reason he was called King of the white races and not God of the white races is because the word God was not used by black people for any living person. It refers only to ancestors. Even today the 24 elders are not called gods, but kings and queens. That is the highest title of respect among black people. The word God in our language is Modimo. The plural of that is Badimo. As you can see, it contains the sacred prefix ba, which refers to people. Morphers to one person and is the singular of Ba. So Modimo means one ancestor, and Ba Demo means all the ancestors. Mo, singular, and Ba, plural, in Modimo and Ba Demo are the same astos in the tribal names of many African tribes, such as Motswana, Ba Swana and Mosutu, Ba Sutu, etc. The word Demo means high up or ascended. Therefore Ba Demo gods means all the ancestors on high, and Modimo means the Most High One, which is the name of the one person, the divine unity of all black people. This word Demo is the origin of the Latin word Deus, God, which became the modern word Theo used in theology, from the Greek theos. The Greeks and Latins after them had a tendency to add to the end of words as they were learning our language, such as when they changed Manu to Manus or Menes and Haru to Horus. So they changed Demo to Demos and finally to Dios. As soon as the white races, all the non-blacks, learned of their maker, the concept of worship came into being, and they worshipped Yhwh as their god. So the true concept of God, which belongs only to ancestors, was brought down from on high and applied to a living person for the first time in the person of Yahweh. Before then, the concepts of worship and fear were unknown, and black people would never have used the word God, Modimo, to refer to a person still living on earth. It would result in a clear contradiction because a person cannot be living and ascended, dead, at the same time, since Modimo means one who is ascended. But the white races saw no such contradiction because they lacked knowledge of the intricate details of our language. They just took our language and modified it in almost endless ways until it suited their childish concepts and eventually gave rise to the multitudes of white languages in existence today. Perhaps they can be forgiven for calling Yhwh the Most High because when they were taught of him by Moses, Yhwh was by then living on the earth of the star Sirius, which I suppose can be considered as on high apostrophe. Therefore by reason of their childish tongue, Yahweh became Yahweh and eventually Yahweh, as it remains to this day. Those who are interested to know the full name King of the White Race in the ancient language, Lil tell you. It's Kosi Yahweh. Kosi means king. That word is the origin of the word Kaiser and Caesar king. In some West African languages, Kosi is pronounced Kwesi. In modern Setswana we say Kosi Yahweh Swu. So the full name of Yhwh is Kwesi Yahweh or Kosi Yahweh. This message was brought to you by Hidden Whispers Revelations. Support this channel by becoming a YouTube subscriber.